I'm a doll maker. I make the most wonderful toys. Dolls, puppets, soldiers, ballerinas.
What would the topic be for a Russian horror movie to possibly be successful internationally?
Yes.
The important thing is not to try to make an American movie, but to draw on kind of something that's uniquely Russian and try to tell the story, tell the movie in the type of cinematic style that is very popular today. So I had this same question to me about 15 years ago when I moved to Spain. And when I moved to Spain, I was going to make a line of horror movies there. And the Spanish crew and the people there said, "Oh no, we can't make those kind of movies. Only the Americans can make them." And I said, "Well, I don't know. I've made movies all over the world, and they're all equally as commercial. It doesn't matter where you make them." But after being in Spain for 10 years, we made many Spanish horror movies that were successful internationally. I've always been more interested in the weird part of horror than the chasing with a knife. Okay, that's just my taste. But I think that also if you want to be successful movie maker, you have to also be interested in film finance, and you have to be interested in film distribution. The idea that you can just make the movie is it's erroneous thinking. When I was about 30 years old, I decided that I would move to Los Angeles and make movies. And so I moved my family there and tried to get a movie going. And I was looking for a director. A friend had told me that I should meet Stuart, a theater director in Chicago. And so I flew to Chicago to meet him, and I saw his plays, and I went over to his house and we talked about horror, and he had two ideas, and we got along very well, and I was very impressed with how he did the theater. And he had two ideas. One of them was about a dog terrorizing a kid, and the other one was Reanimator. So I picked Reanimator.
What are you thinking? How do you feel? You?
At that time, when I was going to do the sequel, Stuart was having bigger movies. It looked like his career was going to be with the big kind of more studio pictures. No, he was not interested in making a sequel, and but we did get Jeffrey Combs and Bruce Abbott for the sequel, and then Jeffrey Combs for the third one. It's different because Stuart created the first one, and the sequels, I felt very strongly that they had to be really in the style of the first movie. I didn't feel like it could become a complete interpretation. I wanted it to be what the audience expected. So it was tough, it was very hard, especially the third one, because we made that in Spain, you see, with all Spanish people, and even Spanish actors who couldn't speak English. And we're making a prison in Spain that's supposed to be in the US. It's a little difficult to have a prison that has very few black people in it if it's a US prison. The movie I made with Stuart, the most famous one, Reanimator, has created a kind of horror style that's quite popular now. It's not exactly comedy, but it has a tongue-in-cheek. It has a sense of irony, a sense of being too much. I think that the word reanimator we wouldn't use today without that movie. I think now you hear everybody talking about a reanimated corpse for a zombie. Well, they didn't used to say that. I think that the green serum, the glowing serum, that's something they use in many movies now. If they want some weird chemical, they put the glowing green. I would still like to do another one with him, and we've tried to do House of Reanimator a few times over the past years, but it's difficult to get the financing for some reason. Yeah. I've made a lot of movies, and most of them nobody remembers anymore. So when there's a movie that somebody comes and remembers, I'm quite excited. You know, somebody today brought up a Necronomicon copy, which I made that movie with Shusuke Kaneko, who's here, quite a few years ago. I think it's a great horror movie. You know, I'm not saying it's perfect or anything like that, but I think it's really horror. It's really kind of interesting. And but it's not around. You don't see too many people know about it. But I love it when people remember it. The same thing goes for Society, which was the first directing I did. When it came out, it wasn't much of a success. But lately, in the past 6 years or so, all of a sudden there's many people calling to have it to show it at a festival, and it's very, it makes you feel great that they still want to see these movies.